Hey, everybody. Good evening, good Wednesday evening, and welcome to your weekly huddle, your check in. We are checking your pulse this week to see how you're doing. Welcome to Power Hour Live. I am your host, Latanya Harris Gooden. Just call me LHG. I am super excited about tonight's show. This is the third week of the month. And as you all know, for those of you who are Power Hour supporters and have been over the last year, and thank you for that, by the way. Thank you to all of you who have been so committed to hanging in with me. Power Hour is that time, that checkpoint to say, how are we doing this week? How's the week going? This happens to be hump day. It's the middle of the week. And I'll ask you, put it in the comments. How are you doing? How's the week so far? What's going good? What needs to be, discussed, and maybe some stuff you'd be prayed on. And, let's just be honest. Some things work wonderfully, but in the wonderful world of adulting, business, 9 to 5, some things don't work. So Power Hour is that place where we can talk things through and strategize. I'm excited. You already know what this is getting ready to be. Andrew Griffin is in the house, our region's premier, brightest and best transformational youth speaker, confidence guru, Mr. Change Your Paradigm. The Marie is here. And I'm so grateful that he takes time out of his busy schedule to stop in on Power Hour just to give us a few good tidbits on confidence. We're in a new year. This is a new season. We are building unbreakable, unshakable, impenetrable confidence in our lives, not just in our businesses, but how about in your personal life? How do you stand up when it comes to confidence in your marriage, in your parenting, amongst your friends? Are you really appreciating your own capabilities? Isn't that what confidence is? It's how you appreciate your capabilities and you showcase you. So I'm going to pray. I'm going to ask you to share as I'm going to share right now. Let's get as many people in this virtual space as possible. The one and only Andrew Griffin is in the studio. Let me know that you're here so I can acknowledge you as well. I'm just ready for God to do what he does in these powerful moments. So come on in, tag a few people. Those of you who are business people, paparazzi. We're going to pray, and then we're going to just have a wonderful time as we always do. All right. So if I have a little technical difficulty, y'all excuse me. I'm on a new device, and I'm just praying that we get through this tonight. So hang in there with me. Let me know you're here. Give me some comments. Let me know you are in the house. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to get my brother in, and we're going to go from there. So, Father God, I thank you for this opportunity to come before you, to come before the people, to have conversations that edify, to have discussions that ignite our fire and our passion to be better, to have discussions that can help us to be stronger in who you made us to be, that we can stand up strong in our relationships, we can stand up strong in our businesses, in our family unit. For his family, his legacy, his businesses, his platform, all that you have given him and how you blessed him and anointed him to impact the world as it pertains to confidence, to help us to grow our own personal level of self esteem, to help us to come out of that state of fear. You haven't given us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. And a part of having a sound mind means being confident, number one, in you, that you are God and God alone, and then confident in who you made us. So, God, I ask you to bless my brother in everything he endeavors. Bless him financially, bless him in his health, bless him with his wife and children as they grow as a family business, as they grow in their legacy building. We just ask you to just do what only you can do. Your miracles, signs, and wonders be upon them. Thank you for every person who comes through the chat tonight. Let something be said or done that lifts a bow down head. Somebody out there hasn't been feeling like themselves. Their confidence has been on an all-time low. And God, it's going to take you, it's going to take your hand and your power to bring them back into the revelation that they are your child, that you have equipped them for such a time as now to do everything that you've called them to do in the earth, and that you'll provide everything it takes to do that successfully. God bless this platform. Thank you for Power Hour Live. Thank you for how we're able to come together as a community and strategize and stay the course in doing what you have called us to do as individuals and as a collective. We give you praise, we give you honor. In Jesus' name, amen. Let me get my brother in here. All right,
Oh,
brother, we in here.
we in here. How are you doing?
You know what? I'm going to say better every day, brother. How about you?
I'm doing incredible. Incredible. Now we're going in and out. I heard you a little bit.
Can you hear me now, brother?
I hear you now. Perfect.
Okay, we're gonna get through these little issues. This new device, I'm still getting accustomed to it. But I just want to thank you, as always, for taking our time out of your busy schedule, out of all the hats that you wear, to come and spend time with us every third week. Simone is in the house. Hey,
Hello,
Simone.
Sister Simone.
Thank you for being in here. Please share. Please share. I just want to thank you because this has always been, ever since we started this, brother, it's been such a blessing, not only in my life, but in the life of those who support this platform, Simone being one of them, and others who look forward to having you come on and just talk to us about something as fundamental as confidence. Many of us are looking to turn over a new leaf in this
Yeah.
year. We're looking to have God launch us out. We're looking to try new things. We're looking to step out of our comfort zone. And a lot of that is going to ride on our personal level of confidence. My God baby is in the comments too. Hi, Jamaica.
Hello,
Hello, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Just to give you just a little disclaimer, if I do kind of buffer a little bit, forgive me. I am working with a new device. So just hang in there. We're going to get through tonight. So let's start by going back to the beginning. Power Hour was a show I created during the time that I had lost a job, a pretty important position in my life that I carried with 23 years with the same company, got sick, and ended up not working. From that, the home that we were in, we no longer had it. From that, my marital status changed, and I hit a wall. And I'm like, okay, Lord, what's happening? Everything that I felt secure in, what I felt confident in, has been taken, or I don't have it anymore. So Power Hour was kind of birthed from me starting over. Kind of job, being in leadership. I was reinventing myself, starting little by little with my jewelry business and different things that I was doing, and just saying, you know what am I supposed to be doing? How am I supposed to do this? Where do I even get income from? Power Hour came from just a fresh start. And being a person that has experienced anxiety in my life, I didn't know how to manage my time. It came from having difficulty with depression. It
Mm.
came from a point where I was really uncertain of what my future looked like. So here we are, this 1 hour. I started doing it on Monday, and I called it our Monday huddle. So we can say, what should this week look like? How am I going to spend my time? Should I have a meeting here? Should I make these phone calls? Opening up my mail was even a challenge for me. I had no income to pay the bills. So just a simple opening up of the mail had me in a very anxious field state of mind. So Power Hour was created to teach me and to find others to help us learn how to level set, how to get quiet, how to get still, and how to build a muscle of good time management skills. That's how we got here. From that, we started talking about what we call calendarism. How do we make sure we're not overbooking ourselves? How do we make sure we are not missing appointments? How do we make sure we are allocating our time in the proper way? And then when I met my brother and how he handles the whole confidence piece, I realized I can't do any of this without confidence. I can't maintain my day. I can't walk into a meeting with my head hung high. I can't present any information to anyone without confidence. So that's how fundamental this conversation really is, and how key it is to everyday life. So I'm going to give you a chance, brother, to reintroduce yourself for this new year here in this space. Tell us what you've been doing in terms of your speaking engagements and what you do with young people, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect, perfect. Well, again, I want to thank you for having me on this platform, and I want to start kind of where you started, where you said this actual channel was birthed out of, you know, in terms of really crisis. You know, you were going through so much, and yet usually when you go through pain, something is on the other side of that pain if you stick through it, right? If a woman is pregnant, they go through 9 months of hard labor. They go through 9 months of difficulty in terms of not being able to eat and being nauseated, just having these difficult periods. But at the end of the 9 months, you have new birth, right? That at the end of pain, something good is going to happen. And that's where, you know, confidence comes from knowing that this current storm, there are no back to back winners. There's a winner, and then you know there's the next season. And you got to have confidence in that. And even when you're going through trials and tribulations, you got to have confidence that you're going to make it through. You know, I heard, I forgot who it was. It might, I think it was Miles Monroe who said that you got to be tested to be validated. And even if you think about a car, you wouldn't drive a car if you didn't know it had been tested through the storm. You would not drive a car if you didn't know that this car had not been tested to handle the winter season, to handle braking correctly. Everything on that car has been tested so it can survive storms. The same with us in life. We have to go through certain tests to be validated for our dreams, for our goals, and our vision. And so that's why confidence is so important. So you did tell me to reintroduce myself. For those who don't know, my name is Andrew Griffin. I'm a husband. I'm a father of four beautiful girls. God said, be fruitful and multiply. I took him seriously. But one of the things I struggled with personally was reading and writing, and I hid that as a secret till well I was over the age of 35. I did not share that I could not read or write to anyone. Certain people probably knew a little bit, but they didn't know the full landscape, because when you memorize a whole lot of words, you can fool a whole lot of people. But I went after jobs that didn't require me to read, that didn't require me to write. And those jobs don't pay well. They did not pay well. So I found myself looking for ATMs that dispense dollar bills. I found myself opening a lot of red letters, hiding them from my wife. I remember hiding cars, leaving them at my dad's house, and just trying to figure out where my life was at. And it wasn't until I really focused on my self-concept, the confidence piece. Who did I see in the mirror? And it wasn't until I just looked at myself and dived into what we call personal development, where you live a life of growth. You live a life of watching who you're around, and then you finally put the work in, and that's where the confidence comes. And that's why it's so important, because today, I was able to see, and I'm able to see that those steps and those strategies we use with our own children, all I did was just teaching the same thing I had learned to boost my confidence, and then a year later their confidence went through the roof. And so I know it works. I know the system works. I know how important confidence is. And so I know you was breaking up just a little bit. I just want to make sure I gave you time to get back on, sister. Look like you're still frozen. So I'll keep going. But that confidence piece is, and just
Can you
buddy in
hear me,
anytime you come
brother?
in. I can hear you now. I can hear you now. All right. So yeah, I'll turn it back over to you. I didn't know because you was breaking up just a little bit. But as leaders, we just problems don't matter. We just figure it out, right? So we good. We good. I'll turn it back over to you too.
All right. I hope that everybody can hear me. I know I'm struggling with this computer, so y'all hang in there. Simone's comment says James Fortune said that for the things I've been through, because if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't know God like I do. That is very
Right.
true. The
That's
things
right.
that we experience in our lives create this confidence in God. When He comes through for us, He has an impeccable track record. So that trust in God is a very good example of true confidence. When you step out on faith, you don't know always where you're stepping. You're stepping sometimes in the dark, like, Lord, I know you mean you'll carry me, but I don't know where I'm stepping. That's really what
Right.
true faith is. I won't always have play by play GPS directions, turn left, turn right. I'm literally allowing God to lead me and guide me. That's real faith. That's real faith. Now, I want to go the learning to read and write. I want to talk about people who, even right now, there's a population of people that have held on to the secret that
Mhm.
they have difficulties in that area. Talk to people about how you were able to finally come to a point where you no longer could hold this as a secret. You had to say something so you can do something. How was that journey?
That was a rough journey. I had to go back to my roots, and when I started thinking about my own personal story, um, when my first day in school, um, we took some type of it was like a little math game, and it was, I didn't know it was like a quiz, but it was like a quiz. And this was like, because I did not, I don't know, remember, I didn't go to like preschool. I went right to kindergarten, and we played this game, and it was like a math little quiz. And one individual that was sitting next to me, he was like, can I see what you're doing, or can I look at how you're doing it? And I let him look at it. And that day, the teacher was looking. He was like, y'all both in trouble. He said, why are you copying off of him? And it was like my first day of school. He was like, go to the wall. You go to the wall. You go to the wall. What was crazy is that was the first time ever in my life I got in trouble. And I remember just like I don't like it here. like I was just helping my friend. I didn't know this was a quiz or a test. I was just helping my friend because he said he needed help, and I showed him, but I didn't know it was like a quiz. And I remember from that day, just like saying I don't really like school, and I was just like going through the motions, kindergarten, first grade, and then now here it's like second and third grade, and the mechanics of reading, because I wasn't really focused in school, I missed it. I didn't really learn it. And so now you in third grade, you got to just be reading, because by the time you third grade, fourth grade, you got to know how to read. And I just remember being so behind. I was like, I can't get this. Let me just memorize this. Let me just memorize it. And I kept having to just memorize words, but I didn't really learn the mechanics of reading and sounding out. But I remember that first day getting in trouble. So it sometimes the things we dealing with now in our adulthood, we got to trace back to those roots. Sometimes we have bad relationships with our husbands or wives because we have bad relationships with our parents. And until you go back to answer those questions about why you're doing what you're doing, I don't think you're gonna find the solution to it, or at least you got to understand it. And that's why a lot of people they're going through counseling now. And what a counselor does, they go back, they peel back the onion. They go back. Okay, why did you start this? What happened here? What happened there? And sometimes we have to do our own personal counseling session on a daily basis. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And I just remember going back to my roots and trying to figure out, hey, Andrew, where did this start? Like you smart because you can pick up stuff. It's just this reading and writing thing. But guess what? That's embarrassing if you can't read and write, and you're a grown up, and now you don't want to tell people you can't do this because you quiet and you look the part, they think you smart, and so you want to keep that reputation up. But inside, it was killing me. Inside, it was breaking down my immune system. And when you hold stuff inside, it starts destroying your health. And I remember going to the doctor, and he was like, Drew, your A1C is at a 13.4. A1C, I don't know what that is. He said, that means you have diabetes. I said, what? I'm thinking diabetes is you just eating crazy and, you smoking and drinking. I did none of that. So I was so confused and I was mad. And I found out that it's stuff that you hold inside. Stress can destroy your body. It can destroy stuff. And I said, and at the time I was still speaking. I was beginning to speak. And at the time I was like, I can't get up and lie to people saying, this is going great in my life and I'm doing this. And I know inside that I can't read and write and I'm keeping this secret. And I knew in my heart that it was going to help somebody, because I remember listening to other people's story or who was struggling. And when they finally said what was going on, it helped me. And so I said, don't matter the embarrassment, don't matter. I know people going to look at me as strange. And people did. When I said, I remember getting on Facebook Live and said, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I could not read or write for this long time. And people was just like, no, that ain't true. You shouldn't tell nobody. Like it was embarrassing them that I couldn't read or write, and now I'm sharing with the world. So when I first told people, it was, number one, it was a shock. Number two, I think a few people was embarrassed that I said I couldn't read and write. But number three, it was life change for me. My sugar numbers went down because of the stress went down. So I know I went on right there, but I was just like, it was hard telling people and it's hard telling people what you're going through, because we don't like to share the bad stuff. We want to, on Facebook or social media, we like to put the best pictures out. You're not gonna put a picture of yourself when your hair is not done, or you don't have the correct dress on, or you're not gonna leave yourself out there. But sometimes you have to tell it all so you can just get it out, right? It's gonna help someone. And I knew that testimony would help people, and it not only helped them, but it helped free me. So I know I went kind of long, but I'll turn it back over to you. But that was for anybody struggling with that. I would say, let's get it out the way. Tell what you need to tell, but let's get to work on it. You can only get to work on something like that or any struggle with just being truthful with yourself, getting the help, getting the right help, and and really getting back to the vision that God really had in place for you. But when you hold on to things like that, it's like holding on to bricks. You can never fly when you got bricks holding down, or cement holding you down. And for that, for me, that was cement holding me down, and I needed to get that out. Number one, to let people know, to encourage them, but also to relieve the stress from me.
Wow, wow. You really made some really great points, because I know one thing for me, people think that when someone does podcasting or speaks in front of people, that you just were born being able to do that. This is something that you have to learn, and that you have to overcome fear. I would always be nervous, even now, as much as I love to talk and communicate, I still get butterflies. And as a child, I was supposed to sing the old rugged cross, and I told my mother, I can't do it. You got to do it. All the other kids is getting up here on Easter and they got a part. You ain't going to embarrass me. I'm the choir director. I need you to get up here and sing that song. And I told my mom, I can't do it. I feel sick. I just feel sick. And she put me out there anyway, and I got sick. It was just, I just can't do it. So people don't understand, fear is real. Fear is
Right.
real. You have to overcome that. And I'm wondering if repetition helps overcome. One thing that KV Banks said about you in his testimonial video, he said one thing about Andrew: every time he speaks, he gets better. So how important is repetition in confidence building, Andrew?
It is everything. Even when you look at a sports athlete, they make millions of dollars. What do they do on a daily basis? 5 days out the week, maybe sometimes 6 days out of the week. They go back to the basics. They do it every day. Let's take a basketball player. What do you do in basketball? You shoot, you pass, you dribble. And you might say, for a professional, maybe they just need to work on certain plays. No, what do they do the first 30 minutes to an hour every day? They practice passing, they do shooting drills, and they do dribbling drills. Now, they've been doing this all their life. They make millions of dollars, but yet they go back to the basics. I know in my profession, musicians, what do? They practice their scales every day. You have people who make millions of dollars playing instruments. And what do? They practice. Why? Because being prepared makes you confident. Being prepared makes you confident. I have given the same talk on my testimony at least 300 times in the past 4 years, and I practice it every time. Why? And it's my testimony. Why? Because I don't want to take, number one, for granted the people who are showing up. That's number one. I learned that from Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar was one of the number one uh, professional speakers ever, personal development. He's like the father of it. And they would pay him in the late 80s, they would pay him $6,000 or $7,000 an hour. And he said he would practice like 2 or 3 hours, the same speech. And so basics and repetition is a necessary thing. Why? Because you just think about tying your shoes. You've done it so many times where you've mastered it. You got to get to a point where you do stuff so many times where you've mastered it. And that's why even when we teach individuals how to learn certain things, you cannot just read a book one time and say you have it. No, they said you need to read that book at least 16 times to get the idea of what the author is talking about. If you can't teach what you read, you don't know it. How do I get individuals to play instruments and songs so fast? I say, I'm going to teach you this, but I want you to teach this to somebody else. Why? Because you're going to simplify it in your own mind first. And until you're able to simplify stuff in your own mind first, you haven't really learned it. If you can't teach it, you haven't really learned it. But that's part of that repetition piece.
That is so good. We got a question. Fred Beatty is in the comments. The CEO of Trailblazers
Hey,
with the Z
Fred.
Radio is in the house. Here we go. Brother Andrew, what does confidence look like for a man who is trying to search for his confidence? And how do I maintain that confidence?
Oh, excellent question. Well, you know what? Confidence is really the vision you have for your life and your way of thinking. Now, and I don't know who all is on the audience today, but one of my favorite books is the Bible. His favorite book is, and I found it interesting that one of the first words that Jesus said, he said, "Repent, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." The word repent does not mean be remorseful. It means to change your way of thinking. It means to watch your vision. It means to watch the thoughts you have of yourself. It means to change a little bit. And so when we're talking about vision, and even later in the Bible, it talks about when you don't have a vision, that's where things perish. That's when you don't have lack of direction. When you get up and you have a certain vision of yourself, right? I see myself as a CEO. I see myself as a leader. And so everything I do, how I dress, how I interact with people, how I treat people, how I respond to people, how I study, how I treat my wife, how I treat my children, how I want my children to look, it all goes to the vision I have of myself. And every day I work on that vision, and that creates the confidence. And next, after I look and understand and write down the vision, make it clear, I watch what I'm listening to. I watch who I'm listening to, and I watch who I'm around. Right? So I write out the vision. I look at that. I feel it. If I see myself as someone who is, if you saw yourself as somebody who is broke, you're not going to just, you're going to move a certain way. You're going to look a certain way. You're going to think about yourself a certain way. And I'll give this example. If, let's say you want to buy a Mercedes, and let's say it's a white Mercedes, and you write it out. You write out all the details of it. Haven't you noticed that when you write down the kind of car you want, you start to see it, it starts to pop up? You're giving your subconscious, which is your hard drive in your mind, right? We have our conscious and then our subconscious, and the Bible talks about
Yes.
in your heart. That activates. And so
Mm,
when you write down a vision for your life, something activates in you. And when you
Jesus.
feel that vision, when you see yourself inside vision, you say, "This is how I need to act. This is how these the books I need to be reading. These the people I'm going to be around." That increases the confidence. And then thirdly is we have to figure out, okay, what's the activity? And what I mean by the activity is in I was in network marketing for a long time, and one of my mentors, he would say, "Griffin, okay, because we have a like a sales call at the end of the week to see what we're doing and our results and everything." And my results were down. I'll be like, I'm making a whole lot of calls, and he'd be like, "Okay, Griffin, so how many calls did you make?" And I'll be like, "Well, I made a lot of calls, but I'm not sure." He said, "If I can't track how many calls you make, I don't really know how to help you improve that area." So sometimes we have this vision for our life. We say we want to own this business. We say
Yeah.
we want to have this certain amount of people watching our podcast, but what inputs are you doing on a daily basis? How are you tracking yourself?
Mm,
So confidence is built by doing the work, by tracking it, even if it's small, right? Even if your job is, you say at the end of this month, let's say I have 5 followers now, but I want to have 25 followers. Okay, so who are you reaching out on a daily basis? Even if it's just one person a week, now we can at least track what you're doing, because confidence is just like faith. We got to believe it. That's the vision. Number two, we got to hear it. It's increased by what you're hearing. That's the associations. And thirdly, you got to put the work behind it, because all of those you can't have the full level of confidence if you're not doing all three, right? Believe in it, being around people who have it, increasing your faith, and actually putting the work in. And so we got to track those three. So that's the shortest answer I can say about that confidence piece.
making Here's the thing, Brother Andrew, when it comes to confidence, and let's take this example, a
Uh-huh.
person that is accustomed to having a certain type of job, they are comfortable in a certain line of work,
Hmm.
but you say you want to make more money. You say you want to, you want to launch out. When you build confidence, it's not going to always be comfortable. You have to be willing to say, I'm going to do something I've never done. I'll probably be nervous while I do it. But if I don't do something different, I'll never know what other possibilities exist. So your choices are stay where you are, do what
Mm.
you've been doing, making the same amount of money, which may not be enough, long enough to step out and do something you may have never done before. Would you say confidence makes you stretch?
Absolutely. When you just look at a confident person, you know they have come outside their comfort zone at some point. You don't grow unless you come outside your comfort zone. It's impossible to I love athletes because you can dominate. A high school basketball player, he dominates his class in high school, but once he gets to college, he comes in as a freshman. And so now he got to develop some more skills because he's now in college. And now, okay, he's dominating in college. Now they call him up to the NBA. What they call you? They call you a rookie now. That means you got to develop some more skills. You got to get outside your comfort zone. It's the same place in work. If you started as an employee, it's some things you got to learn. Now they bump you up to manager. It's some stuff you got to learn.
Yes.
Now you're working with the president. Now there's some stuff you got to learn. Now you decide to leave the job and open up your own business. You right at the bottom, some stuff you got to learn. You're always stretching yourself. If you're not growing, you're declining. And I learned that from Les Brown. You cannot stay stagnant. There's no such thing as I know it all. Even God hasn't told you all the stuff in his head. And so you got to always stay humble and always have that thirst for learning, because you can never stop growing.
That's good. That's another thing that KV Banks said in his testimonial about you is that when you speak, you leave us with that we could do. I think sometimes we overthink confidence and we think it has to be some rocket scientist type of formula. Walk us through a few things that you've done in your career that have helped you build confidence. And let's start with speaking. Let's
Mm.
start with the public speaking part.
Oh, absolutely. You and I'll share this quick story. When I first got married, I was so shy, so quiet. My in-laws, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, they would have anniversaries, and they would have it twice a year, and they would have the children
Mhm.
come up and speak every year. I would be so scared to speak. I would hide during the time it was forced to speak. I would come up with excuse why I couldn't make it. And that damaged our relationship in the beginning because they thought I didn't really care for them too much. It was just I had such a fear to speak. It jacked me up. Even my mother passed away. I was about 20, and I was so scared I couldn't speak at the funeral. I
Hmm.
had such a fear. And Zig Ziglar said that fear is false evidence appearing real. And
Yes.
sometimes we can let fear hold us back so much. And even God said, He said, I didn't give you that. I didn't give you that characteristic. That is of this world of fears. The individual that try to
Yes.
rule this world, that he that's one of his things. His characteristic is fear. And so sometimes we can be a
Yes.
slave of things that we were not created to be a slave by. He said, I didn't give you that spirit. And so one of the things I did, I started off small, and it goes back to stretching yourself. I went to Toastmasters. And Toastmasters, they will start you off small. They will say, okay, let's get up there for 2 minutes, or let's just say your name. That's how I had to start. Say my name. Okay, now let's do a 2-minute speech of just who you are and what you do. We did that. Now let's do a 5-minute speech of a story that happened in your life. And I learned certain skills. And even in speaking, even if today you have a fear of speaking, do you know you can just go up there and share a story? Why? Because nobody can
Mm-hmm.
mess up a story because they don't know all the details.
Mm.
If you're sharing your story about a time in your life, it's going to make you less nervous because you're sharing a story versus getting up and doing a speech and having to memorize something. And now you go blank and you don't know where to go. And so I learned, and you can say I can get up and speak in front of 5,000 people, 10,000 people. It doesn't matter because I know I can share stories. I have stories that deal with faith, deal with love, stories that deal in every area of life. So it don't matter what topic it is, I have a story for it. You can start off I can
Wow.
start off with a question. I can start off with
Mm-hmm.
some type of statistic. I can start off with now jokes are harder to start off because they're gonna either go good or go bad. I've experienced both, but I've been doing it for a while where I can kind of go over. Even if you jack up on a joke, you can make fun of yourself. It's little tricks you can do to start, right? And so even when somebody says I cannot speak at all, I would say just start saying your name in the mirror in front of yourself. And then the next step is record yourself. Then the next step is to say hello to like 5 different people. Just say hi. Just say good morning. You see the first 5 people, and so you're warming up. You're warming up. And to this day, I'm still have fears when I get up to speak. I'm more nervous doing this podcast than speaking in front of like 5,000 people on stage because this is still new to me.
Wow.
It's still like, this is different from me. But I've learned how to share stories. I've learned how to
Mm-hmm.
memorize quotes. I've learned
Yes.
how to deal with analogies or things that can make you draw a picture so you can think about it. And I practice, right? And I've gotten around speakers. And I realized that everybody gets nervous. And it's the same thing in life. If you're not nervous, a little nervous, you're going to stop
Mm-hmm.
growing because you're going to think you have it. I remember when I thought I was like, I got this. In terms of speaking, I got my stories. Nobody touched me. I got 100,000 jokes. And I got up and I did the speech. And I really didn't do my best because I felt I had it all together and I didn't. So that nervousness has to be there. And nervousness, even in sports, you see it when a team is too overconfident and they take the other team lightly. They wind up losing a lot of times, right? So you always got to go up there with a little sense of nervousness, a little sense of humbleness, so you can still have that room to grow.
Absolutely. And since we're on that line of presentation and speaking, let's shift over to how important it is to have the right type of body language when you are presenting to people, how you appear, how important even is it, not just your speech, but even your posture, brother.
Oh, that's very important. You could probably yourself or anybody that's listening could write down some stuff. Let's say you see an individual who's on stage and they have both hands in your pockets. Right away, you might not trust them. Or if their hands are behind their backs the whole time. Or
Mhm.
if they're talking but they're looking down at something, you could say their confidence is not the highest, right?
Mhm.
Or if they have the same monotone the whole speech, that means you didn't get excited about anything. There's no pause. There's nothing you want me to think about. You're just trying to rush through this. Or if they get up there and they have the mean face the whole time and they're not smiling, right? They're not welcoming. And so your posture, your gestures, that's so important. That's so important. And it gets your blood flowing with certain postures. Now it's not the end all be all because you do need to um, especially as a speaker, know your material,
Mhm.
um, be truthful in what you're saying, and you can overcompensate for gestures, but they are important to, number one, engage your audience, provide trust between you and your audience, right? And you
Mhm.
can look at some of the most phenomenal speakers, the Oprahs, the Tony Robbins, the Denzels. They use their body language
Yes.
to encourage the audience, to take you on a journey, to help
Yes.
you change, to coach you.
Yes.
We remember the coach who was was exciting, who gave us confidence. Remember that teacher. We remember those individuals. We remember the people who rooted us on. And so body language is very important. It's not everything, but it's very important.
I want to shout out Lady Leroya. She is in the comments. Hi, sister. Hey, Coco. Thank y'all for coming through. You know what? I thought about this, brother. Is there a correlation between your earning potential and your confidence? If you get up in front of someone and you are not confident, that mess up your money.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's gonna mess up your money because you're not gonna go after those raises. You're not gonna go after the skills necessary to create those raises. Without that confidence piece, you don't reach the potential that you were put on this earth to be. You know, the word fruitful, even in Genesis, it says be fruitful. You know, for a lot of us, that we thought that was just having a lot of babies. That's not exactly what that word means. It means to produce. Being fruitful means to produce. And people, you know, if we're a seed, we're all a seed, but you don't get paid for just being a seed. You don't get, people pay for the fruit. And if we're the seed, we need to be planted. We need to go through some stuff to get rooted, go through some storms and have our roots go deeper. People pay for the fruit that's produced. And you cannot
Yes.
produce that fruit unless you go through the stuff a seed has to go through. And for an individual who doesn't have confidence, they're going to let other people decide what type of seed they are. They're going to let other people decide how
Ooh.
big that tree grows. They're going to let other people decide where that
Mm.
seed goes. You see, if you were put on this earth to be an apple, but everybody else is telling you you need to be a orange, you know, a
Mhm.
fish is successful because it swims through water. A bird is successful because it's able to fly. And sometimes
Mhm.
they are dominating what they're supposed to. And sometimes as we as humans, God's highest
Mm.
form of creation, we are not dominating the things we're supposed to dominate. We're supposed to dominate earth. We're supposed to dominate the things on earth. We are a seed that needs to go through a few things, be rooted and planted and grow strong and grow through our full potential. But sometimes our confidence, our self concept of ourselves, our history of us failing or being around failures. You see, it's hard to
Yes.
be a business owner if nobody in your family has been a business owner. That's hard.
Come
It's hard
on.
to graduate
Mm.
college if you are around people who've never graduated college. It's hard to say, I'm going to be a millionaire when everybody in your family's been on food stamps. I'll share this quick story.
Wow.
You know, I was in a store and for a time, me and my family, we was on food stamps. And I remember getting so frustrated. I went home and I cut the bridge card in half. I said, we're not going to do this, right? Because if I'm a child of a king doesn't live like
Mm.
this. And I did research.
Mm.
You know, most people, when they are on food stamps, their mother was on food stamps, their grandmother was on food stamps, and I've never seen a rich person on food stamps.
My God. Come on.
And so it is a mindset. It all goes back to
Wow. Absolutely. And I think that's an excellent point because let me say this. What I experienced growing up, and it's important that we create an environment for our children where they can thrive. When you have a family that is to a certain you are having a family barbecue and you are just kicking it, but we tend to tease the children who speak proper.
mm,
We call it you're speaking white or you're
right.
talking white. Why do we label business language with Caucasianism? Why
Mm,
can't the person, the child, whoever, just be called unintelligent or intellectually, astute speaker? Why do we put our kids sometimes in these buckets No one else talk like that. You think you're better than everybody else. Why don't we want our children to be better, brother? Why do we make our children feel like, why you come home talking like that? Why do we do that? Have you ever experienced that before?
Well, all the time, and it happens. That first, the second layer of the confidence system we teach is who you're around. You know, the people that are saying that to you,
Mm,
they have been around people who thought that way. You're the average of the five people you hang around the most. Your thoughts, the way you act. I remember first joining network marketing. Everybody that I was around told me it was a pyramid scheme. Everybody, and I didn't ask the question of where they got it from. And I remember the individual coming back up to me. He was approaching me about, joining the network marketing. He said, "Okay, Griffin, where did?" I told him, I was like, "No, that's a pyramid scheme." He was like, "So where did you get that from?" I said, "I got it from my friends. Who did they get it from?" And I couldn't answer that question. If you look at network
mm,
marketing, um, and you look at a job has a CEO and it has employees. Where have you
mhm.
seen the employees take over the CEO position? I said, "Wow." He
Yeah.
said, so if you get in network marketing, you start off at the bottom, but you have a chance to learn skills. They pay you to learn
Mm,
skills
yes.
to take over the CEO's position or whoever brought you in. I said, oh, that's different. And so while I was going through that journey where I couldn't read or write, right, because I still have to feed my family, they didn't have good jobs. If you don't know how to read and write, they don't have good jobs. But I looked over and I was like,
Mhm.
those 7 years that I was in network marketing, I made over $100,000 just trying to figure out stuff, figure out life, figure out how to sell and all that stuff. But if I had took the advice of the person who told me don't join, that would have been 100,000. And that's, if you divide that up in 7 years, it's not a lot, but it's a lot when you don't have it. But because I didn't take that person's advice or opinion are like armpits. We all have them, but some of us think, right? Some of those armpits ain't great. Uh, you have to watch opinions who you take. And that's one of the examples where I learned where you cannot be a follower. When you're a follower and you listen to everything somebody say and you don't look it up for yourself, you got to be a student. Jim Rohn says, don't be a follower, be a student. Figure out, take a, uh, they say bite the apple,
Mm,
but spit out the seed, right? Take the good part of what somebody's saying, learn from it, see if it works for you, right? See if that work makes sense. But if it doesn't, be a student. Don't just take that person's word for it. For a long time, somebody said, Jesus was broke, and I bought that for a whole lot of years. And then I
mm.
heard this one individual. He said, if Jesus was broke, he was born in a manger, not because they didn't have money. It was because that was the only place available.
Come on
And so
here.
sometimes we can buy opinion of things. And another thing, Jesus walked around with business owners.
Yes.
Matthew was a accountant, Luke was a doctor, and the rest of the disciples were fishermen. That was the number one business in that day. And so sometimes you got to go back and say, where do we
Yes.
get these things from? Where do we get these ideas from? And so it's that listening to that person, and but you got to be a student. You got to learn how to block out noise from people who don't know. That's what I would say on
Yes.
that.
We're getting ready to wrap up. What I would say, ready to close, when families, I challenge our families, particularly those who have no means, please out because you may be low income.
Mm.
Talk to them about money. Talk to them about business. Give them the best possible education you can get them. Have them practice their speaking with you, mom and dad. We used to read the milk carton. We used to read the newspaper and magazines out loud. Make sure your children are learning how to speak clearly. Speak clearly to them. How about that? As a child, teach them the difference between, well, when you're at home and it's just us, we can relax. But when you go to school or when you're in a meeting or
Thank you. Broke up just a little bit, sister. We hear you. Well, you went out just a little bit. Um, I know we were talking about encouraging our young people. Um, and so, how do you encourage a young person? And then, sister, if you come back in, just jump back in anytime. I know you broke up just a little bit. How would I encourage you? Number one is I would let them know that they, sometimes we label our youth based on a grade they got, right? And I've learned that you can't label a child based on a grade they got, based on the test scores, because they start to develop an identity that they are a C student or that they are the test score they got. We got to teach our children not what to think, but how to think. That's just a score. The only thing that should be labeled is cans and jars. That you have this greatness inside of you, that you are God's highest form of creation, that you're not an animal. And even an animal dominates their area of gifting, and that you're much more higher of a creation than an animal. You are this you are this star, and you got to believe that you are a star. He know he. I'll tell you this. You got to know your value and never lose it. Never lose it. If we took a $20 bill, I don't care what it's been through. If you step on it, it's still worth $20. If you throw it in the garbage can, put dirt over it, it's still worth over $20. Even if you rip it up, it's still worth $20. And so no matter what has happened to you in your life, no matter what tragedy has happened to your life, I want you to understand your value. And I want you to know you've only scratched the surface. Get around someone that has inspired you. Figure out what they're doing. Take a notebook, ask them some questions. Make sure our sister didn't jump back on.
Yeah, she's down. So I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on. But
Perfect.
I want to ask this question for
Yeah.
her. So the question is just piggybacking off of what you was just talking about. How do you help a child um, who might have didn't grow up with someone telling them that they could be successful, that they can go out, overcome the statistics that are being spoken on them, that they do not have to agree with the labels that are being placed on their life.
I love that. Um, First of all, I would help them to understand that we are all programmed, and we got to watch how we are being programmed. Uh, I would monitor how they see themselves first, right? Because a lot of times we allow their self concept of themselves is what the grade they got in school or the test score. Number two is we would figure out how can we slowly reprogram that vision they have themselves. And how do you do that? You have to listen to 20 to 30 minutes of something positive every day. Just like to how do you take care of your teeth? You brush your teeth, you floss, you do some other stuff. You do it every day. Otherwise it's gonna decay. You take a shower every day. Otherwise, you're not going to smell the best. The same thing with your mindset and your vision and stuff. You have to do something 25 to 30 minutes positive every day. You have to do those affirmations. Second is you got to get around the right people. You got to get around, if you are trying to go into the area of acting, get around actors. If you're trying to go in the area of musicians and singers and arts, get around those people. And then thirdly, get accountability group. Get a mastermind. Get individuals around you who's going to hold you accountable. Those would be the three, right? Let's figure out what you're looking at every day in terms of the vision you have for yourself. Let's spend 25 to 30 minutes reading 10 pages of a good book, listen to something positive, right? And thirdly, let's get accountability group to hold each other accountable to help you navigate through those areas of life. I see you back on, my sister.
I'm back on. Thank you all. Thank you, Coco. Thank you, brother. We're getting ready to wrap up. I
That's
am
good, huh?
working through this new device. We'll probably have to get a different one because it's not giving me the strength that I need. But thank you, as always, brother, for your time and for your impartation of wisdom. I want to end with you catching us up on Rewrite the Vision. And then we're going to sign out for the night until next month. But give us a little update on what you're doing with the Rewrite the Vision and change your paradigm.
Absolutely. I'm gonna try to do it in 30 seconds. So on Saturdays, again, we're training our youth with fitness and boxing and self-confidence with Josiah Shackelford. That is every Saturday from 2 to 3. The information is usually on my Facebook page. And on the second and fourth Mondays, we are teaching the youth and adults how to play an instrument. I feel that if you're able to type on a typewriter, you should be able to play the piano. This is my personal opinion, because typing on typewriter is harder to do that than play the piano. So you might as well learn a skill. And then what we're going to introduce later on in about a month or so is our Leadership Mondays, which we just go, it might be once a month. We just go in, we talk about these leadership principles live in the actual building, and we do it for about an hour. We have refreshments there, but we're just trying to build up leaders, build up small business owners, build up our youth, right? And we just talk leadership. And then in the closer to April, we are coming back around with our Change Your Paradigm conference. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to have details on that coming up. But that's just a few of the things that we are excited about, always imparting knowledge to our youth and our young adults and our adults, right? Because we are all youth. We are all learning, right? So that's some of the things that's going on. If you want to follow me on Facebook, I usually post a lot of this information, or you can contact LHG, and she will have some further details as well. You back on, sister?
I'm back on. We're getting ready to wrap up. Thank you again, brother. Everybody, stay tuned. I'll be back Friday, if God's willing, with my cousin Tanisha, One Stop Shop Queen Cooper. She's an entrepreneur. She also works with youth. She has the Michigan Natives Youth Program. So we'll be hopefully hanging out Friday next week, January 28th. Adonis Jameson and Natasha Beautiful Thought, the hosts of the Peaceful Poetic Place, will be in the house. But until then, I love you all. Thank you, everybody, for coming through and hanging with me through my technical difficulties. We're going to get out of here. Brother, thank you. Good night, everyone. Follow, share. I appreciate you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.